Following the United States' announcement in August that Washington was ending all funding to Palestinian aid organization UNRWA, the United Nations Relief and Works Agency has been clamoring to collect the missing funds from other donor countries. International outcry against the United States' callousness has erupted, with Palestinian schools remaining shuttered, UNRWA staff out of work, and millions of Palestinians across multiple countries now living in a state of limbo. But a closer look at UNRWA's finances and conversations with its remaining 67 donor countries shows that even after the United States pulled its funding, UNRWA was taking in roughly $1 billion. So the question is, where's the money? Joining me now with more is Director of the Israel Resource News Agency, David Bedein. Thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you. It's very important to clarify what happened here. Last January, Trump cut $65 million from UNRWA.
Half of that contribution for that.
That's right. It amounted to 5% of the UNRWA budget.
65 million was 5%.
That was it. Now, UNRWA then hired a public relations firm and spread around the whole world that the United States had chopped all the money, which they didn't do until August, and that UNRWA was bereft of funds. For the next 5 months, even now, UNRWA has been saying that the U.S. cut of funding has affected them to the extent that they can't have services. On June 25th, UNRWA conducted a press conference. We are bereft of funds. So what did our agency do? We have also the Center for Near East Policy Research. We went to all the donor nations, all 67 donor nations. Did you take back the money? Did you stop the money? And the answer we got from 44 nations that were continuing the money, and we made a graph. Not only did UNRWA have $1 billion as of January 1st, but another $1 billion had come in and by the time they had their press conference on June 25, they were sitting on $1 billion in cash. There's $1 billion missing from UNRWA. Where is it?
$1 billion.
$1 billion. This is not a small amount of money. No. This is not a statistical error. Now, $1 billion they can't account for, and to this day, their PR firm, Marathon Strategies, it would be wonderful to interview them also. They don't want to talk so much, but Marathon Strategies, planting in every country in the world, in all the media, that there are children starving in Gaza, that UNRWA cannot function because of the U.S. cutbacks. But they already found the replacement countries, Germany, UK.
Yeah, the other donor countries kind of picked up the slack already.
Immediately. Back in January they picked it up, and after August they picked it up. Now, they're engaging in a very aggressive campaign to bring in money. We have checked, our staff has checked, that yes, they're holding back salaries, they're holding back money.
So what they say about the crisis that, the crisis that has resulted of UNRWA being bereft of funds is real, but except they're not bereft of funds.
They're not bereft of funds at all. All the donor nations are saying we are giving the money as increasing the money, and the nations that are increasing the money are having a session at the United Nations on Thursday evening to discuss this. Now, what's important to understand, this has nothing to do with the U.S. Lack of funds, and it has nothing to do with any big the cutback in August. It has everything to do with lack of transparency, with lack of accountability of UNRWA funds, and the time has come for the donor nations to ask for that accountability. Incidentally, the people in Gaza are not stupid. They understand that there's something going on here.
Well, and so there's the big question, too, is you spoke to 67 other countries, 44 of which it sounds responded.
We responded, yes.
Right. So of the 44 countries, I read in the article that you wrote, and you said, these are not dummies. They're not stupid. So why are they allowing this campaign, this PR campaign from UNRWA to continue publicly without saying anything?
This has been a tradition of not challenging UNRWA, not challenging UNRWA credibility, not challenging UNRWA accountability, and not asking for the books, not asking to see what happened. The medical services being cut, we know from 34 nations giving the medical services. We also know that there's other things going on that UNRWA does. We have reported for the last 12 years about the Al-Qutla clubs, the Hamas military training clubs with weapons, with live weapons, which are being supplied to the kids in UNRWA facilities. We've shown it, we've proven it, we've had this, and all the donor countries have acknowledged that they know about it, but this is not being challenged. And I don't know of any of my fellow reporters challenging. So we are challenging it. We're asking. We've met
Where's
with
that $1 billion?
Well, it's $1 billion which is missing. UNRWA can't account for it, except to say it's because of the United States 5% cut back then in January, and the 33% cut of UNRWA funds in August. So there's something wrong. There's something rotten in UNRWA. There's something that has to be questioned. And I want to say I'm also a social work professional. The lack of when a humanitarian agency can't account for its funds and it's serving 5.2 million people, many of whom shouldn't be there, because why keep people in refugee facilities for 70 years? This is something not right. And
I mean, so there are a lot of problems with UNRWA, but this is, I mean, this one's a big one.
Well, this is the biggest we've seen in 30 years of covering UNRWA. This is the biggest one we've seen, and they're orchestrating it so beautifully. You see, they take the little kids, they put them out, they try to say they're starving.
Yeah, it's I mean, it's a beautiful, it's Pallywood, you know. It's the same thing that we've heard.
It's
and
worse
seen
than Pallywood because this is UN wood, and it's going to be discussed at the UN tomorrow. My question, we met with one of the major ambassadors, and he was shocked to see what we brought to his attention. My question is, will the other ambassadors who of the other donor nations that are going to be discussing this at the UN, will they ask these questions? Well,
they have their time, they have their moment right now at the UNGA in New York, and hopefully they will. I hope that you keep us, abreast of the situation.
Well, you can look at our website, IsraelBehindTheNews.com. We have there the list of the donor nations. We have our new films.
It's all there in black
of the
and white.
Military training, and we have our full reports on UNRWA update. And UNRWA called us their greatest enemy. Okay, if we're the greatest public enemy, fine. All we're trying to do is put out the truth, put out issues having to do with accountability, transparency, and to wake up the world of journalism, to wake up the humanitarian world, and to wake up the world of social work to ask questions about this.
All right, David Bedein, thank you very much for coming in.